Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Old World Wednesdays. Dan, hot off the press, we've got some lovely Old World rumours that have been cooking up for us. So, grab your stein or your pint glass. Make sure you pay
Hail!
for your ticket. It covers the entire seat, but you'll only need the edge. Let's go.
Yes, Tom. So these leaks, supposed leaks, have just dropped on the Old World Discord, and they are apparently leaked changes to the Old World in the upcoming FAQ and errata that we were talking about in last week's episode that are going to show us what is happening in the Old World 1.5. Now, as ever, take these with a big pinch of salt, but I have to say that in general, they seem to be in line with what we've been hearing. So let's dive in and find out who's getting the nerfs, who's getting the buffs. Let's go through them blow by blow and see what we are up against. So, number the first. Close order bonus for unit strength 10 plus only.
Seems like a good, interesting change, Dan. I think you had to explain this one to me a few times. We did. We took the long way. We took the long route, the scenic route, but we got there.
Yeah, so I think you got a bit. What it should say is close order bonus is the bonus you get in combat for being close order, not any bonuses that you get to like the restrictive movement of close order. So if you're in combat and you've got unit strength 10 plus, then you get your +1 to your combat resolution, which is significant because there are lots of monsters out there that are close order that are claiming it, but now they won't be able to. So a dragon is unit strength. Well, my dragon is unit strength 9. Other monsters, things like that, your tree man, all those kinds of things. It gives infantry a little bit of an edge in terms of combat resolution. Now, there are other things as we go along that will kind of stack with this, but this is the starting point for how they start to get infantry that little bit more competitive.
It sounds good, Dan, doesn't it? Sounds good. Do you think it's going to be enough to stop a dragon mauling your units in combat?
No, but as we go on, the full picture will emerge. The tapestry has not yet been woven fully. So, second, only infantry and cavalry can get a 2+ armor save.
You feel where this is going already?
Yeah, so this is targeted at your 2+5+5+ unkillable monster lords. So this is the next one on the chain. So now they're only going to have a 3+. Well, only they will be able to get at maximum a 3+ armor save. So I think that's pretty good. I think that's in keeping. I like it, to be honest. I think armor is one of the things in the old world that's really powerful, isn't it? Because AP is quite limited. There's not a lot above AP2 in the game.
No, there's not. There's a few magic weapons with AP3, but nothing really.
Yeah, it's very few and far between. So your average Joe is not going to get much more than AP2. So I think that's a good change. Supporting attacks can only be made within your base movement. This is the Dr. Luke Blacksil nerf.
Yeah. I wanted to scream hold the line, but I think you better scream form ranks instead now, right?
Yeah, well, it was always the thing, wasn't it, that you could like get your dwarves and you could have like 20 dwarves in a line, and then when one thing comes in contact with them, every one of them swings. So it's like, right, dwarf on the end, run down, and he's like running, attacking, and then coming like, or he's reaching his arms, or like go gadget arms or something. It's like mental. So now you can only make them within your base movement. Yeah, so this just makes loads of sense, basically. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do firstly because of the silliness of how it was, and also, as much as this is a fantasy game where there's all kinds of different things and flying monsters and things, it still broke my immersion within the realms of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I'm glad to see this hopefully be the end of that nonsense. Unless,
not everybody
you
fully
cast
embraced it.
a wicked spell that gives you unit movement 10. Oh, it's base movement anyway.
Yeah, that's true. No, but it says on your base movement.
Base movement, yeah.
Yeah, so they've thought of that. They've got a Tom in their ranks somewhere going, no, that's all right. I'll just cast this one.
Yeah.
So there you are.
As they say, down there for
Impetuous
thinking, up here for dancing, Dan.
Yeah, as is too often the way. Anyway, Impetuous is now based on leadership. So Impetuous is old frenzy now.
Yeah. So it was on a 1 to 3, you'd charge ahead. On a 4+, you'd act as normal.
It was a straight 50-50, but now, if you pass your leadership test, you can control your beast, or control your frenzy or your impulses. And on that note, the Chaos Dragon is now impetuous.
Yeah, might be convinced to run some Knights Errant because of that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. If it's a leadership test, you get your BSB, so worth a crack.
Yeah, you can get that reroll in. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is that going to force a Chaos player to bring a BSB now so they can reroll that check?
Yeah, could be.
I don't know how much of an impact it's going to make, really, because you're going to be leadership 10 anyway. If you do fail it, what's the worst thing that can happen? Your dragon will charge something.
Yeah, but it could get baited out, and you may not want it to charge off into, the Netherlands, especially if it's like a really slow moving closed order unit.
What have you got against the Netherlands? It's lovely, flat, peaceful, serene, windmills, good beer.
Too flat. I like my hills now.
Do you know what? My battlefield often looks like the Netherlands. I have to say, not enough hills.
Flat with a pub.
Yeah.
And that's all cut.
Where are we now? My train of thought has been completely ruined. Empire State Troops get warband. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because I've just painted up 40 halberdiers, and you've been painting up much the same. So when I played my last game with Empire, actually, I found that the leadership was really poor, and I didn't have a BSB because I don't have a model like a BSB model yet. But I was getting terror bombed by my cousin quite a lot, who plays Tomb Kings, and he had like 3 things that caused terror at least. And the Empire State Troops just weren't having it. They were just like, nope, not fighting this today. Yeah. So getting warband will really help them, I think.
I think that, really prevalent with the amount of -1 leadership terror bubbles going on at the minute. So that'd be good.
Yeah, because also they're supposed to be that anchor for you, aren't they, really? You want a big block of state troops to just hold the line a bit and let your cavalry get a flank charge in or something like that.
Survive just long enough for the cavalry to come in and save the day.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I really like that. This one is about magic. So cast and dispel bonuses are capped at wizard level +1. So no stacking mortis engines. So they did talk about, in the last set of rumors we had, they were talking about the disparity between level 2s and level 4s and what can they do to rein it in. So you can no longer get a level 4 with +1 to cast, +1 to cast, +1 to cast kind of thing and get too far away. The most you will ever be away now, well, I guess, unless you can give a -1 to cast, but it is probably be about 3. So it's better. I think there might be a little bit more that can be done. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more on this or more like this.
I thought it was going to go to an old 40k style leadership check, the way we spoke about it last time, where wizard levels were only impactful for the amount of spells you knew. So it's quite an interesting one to read.
Yeah, I think personally, I think that the game pretty much forces you to take a level 4 if you want to have a say in Magic.
Yeah.
Because a level 4 will just shut you down, especially with some of the magic items going around. And then also you're rolling 2 spells and you're not really going to get the spells you want necessarily. So yeah, I think maybe we'll see a bit more on this, but I don't know.
So Daniel, for the next one, you're going to tell me about what your poison is, and if you like to have it over the rocks, neat, or a premixer, as you're so into at the minute.
Well, my poison does change from time to time, as does the poison rule, Tom, in Warhammer the Old World, so it seems. So we are seeing a lot of poison at the moment because it seems like an easy solution to big monsters when we saw a lot of big monsters against things like giants that have just got heavy armor, your Necro Sphinx, which is I think 5 up, 5 up. Things like that, you can really begin to chew through them, especially as they're large targets, so everything can shoot. So this is where you're seeing a prevalence of things like 40 archers that have poisoned shots. So they're trying to find a way to nerf this in some way, or to because it's we said it's auto include, isn't it? So now this is pretty big because poison has been the same, I think, for as long as I can remember. So an amendment to poison is quite a big change. So now what they're proposing in this leak is that instead of a hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds, you now get +1 to your wound rolls. And the big difference there is what you hit on. Because if you are a Tomb King Archer and you only hit on 5s, you're only going to get that +1 to wound on a very few hits. Whereas if you are a Way Watcher or a Wood Elf Lord and you're potentially hitting on 2s, you're going to get poison on pretty much all of your shots.
Which is mega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the target as well, because plus it depends on your brackets, I suppose, if you talk about your wounding brackets. Because if you've got, I don't know how many big powerful bows are poisoned, but if you did have a big powerful bow that was poisoned and you're going to wound something on 3s or 2s anyway, it's not quite as impactful as like going from a 6 to a 5, because you're going from a 6 to a 5, you're going from 1 in 6 chance to a 1 in 3 chance. So you're effectively doubling the amount of wounds that you will cause. But yeah, so that's the change. So it's going to be beneficial for you if you are skilled at shooting it. You can get those hits through. Whereas if you can't get those hits through, now a Tomb King that's got poison against a dragon is hitting on 5s, wounding on 5s.
Yeah, well, we alluded to it before, didn't you, when you said about the auto include? You're not seeing people spam Hagbane tips in your Wood Elf army. You're seeing people spam 40 skeleton archers in a big old block shooting down someone's poor giant.
Yeah, well, it's only because Hagbane tips are too expensive.
Oh,
but now they might actually be more worth it in a way, because although you're not getting those auto wounds, you are actually going to get the hits through to see
you're
a
going to
benefit.
get the hits through, and then you're going to be wounding stuff on, my knights. So you'll be wounded on 3+.
Yeah, but this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt people. I think this is going to hurt goblins. This is going to hurt all kinds of different units as well. So we will see. We will see how this is received. But I think this is something that will shake up the meta. And it's interesting because it's a nerf to infantry. And we did think that infantry wouldn't really be touched, even though this is ranged infantry. It seems like combat infantry is what's getting the benefits. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just think with the other proposed changes to characters and their survivability, it may have been a bit much.
Well, I'm willing to see how it impacts Blade Guard. Basically, I'm willing to have a look.
You're an
And
Empire player now. Stop talking about Wood Elves.
And I'm happy to see what it will do to my cousin's 40 skeleton archers, and if they just become redundant. I'd quite enjoy that. They won't be redundant. I mean, they'll still be. They still, I find, do perform really well, like the other archers, because you could roll more 5s than you think, actually.
Skill. It's a skill-based game, rolling 5+.
It is. Okay, next. I got a bone to pick with this next one.
Oh.
And this is specifically for any Wood Elf players out there. So Sisters of the Thorn got a nerf because they could all pick Pillar of Fire, and it was too strong. So now they have nerfed Pillar of Fire. But I don't think they're going to undo the nerf they did to Sisters of the Thorn.
I wouldn't.
No, I don't think they are. So Pillar of Fire is now a random move, so you can't control where it goes and then bounce it through loads of units. It will only bounce through loads of units if you roll directionally that's where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that ties into this is vortexes or vortices are now dispelled from the vortex itself, not from the wizard that cast it. So there's no casting all your pillars of fire and then running away as fast as you can so that no one can dispel you as you just move them around the table with impunity. So I think that is a much better change. I mean, there were some fun things about remains in play spells and running away, and this is something actually that gave lower level wizards a bit of an edge. If you had them all the way in the back ranks, they could still be out of the spell range to do these kinds of spells. But everybody is playing for Pillar of Fire.
Yeah,
it takes battle magic. It's the one that a lot of people are taking. I said last video, didn't I, when we were talking about things that I thought would get a nerf, Pillar of Fire was up there.
You were not wrong.
So, well, according to these leaks, if they turn out to be true. Next, Travel Mystical Pathway is now a wholly within spell, so you can't just yeet your unit across the table. It's got to be wholly within. So yeah, fine. Ogre Blade, 75 points.
I didn't realize the Ogre Blade was such a big deal to warrant the nerf, but it's interesting. It's an interesting build change, isn't it?
What that does is it gets rid of Ogre Blade Talisman of Protection, because that was just the go-to. If you look at a hero, everyone is just like, yeah, Ogre Blade Talisman of Protection. Nobody looks in their own books for anything. And there are some cool magic items, but they're just not as cool as the Ogre Blade. The Ogre Blade, with its multiple wounds, it just managed to just beat everything somehow.
Yeah. Do you need any other suit of armor if you're already a 3+ armor safe, and you give yourself a 5+ with a giant Ogre Blade? No.
So yeah, I think it has been a go-to for a very long time. That it might be about breaking up that combination as well. So yeah, I'm okay with it. I think I would like to see a more variation of magic weapons being used anyway than just, oh yeah, here comes the guy with the Ogre Blade. Because that is all he's done.
Yeah, 8th edition had some really fun ones. Spencer's blades were quite good, quite funny. But yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to see more of that. Oh, we've got another dragon-based one next. So Chaos regen items are now cavalry and infantry only.
Yeah. I've been saying I wanted to do a Chaos army for a couple of weeks now, and I don't think I do. They've taken the fun out of it.
Your impetuous 3-up, 5-up dragon instead of your do whatever I like 2-up, 5-up, 5-up. I think that does help, and it brings it. It helps adjust it in terms of its tiers, because within dragons there are tiers. Oh, the next 3 are Bretonnian specific, I would say, even though one is universal, but I still think it's because of Bretonnian. So Royal Pegasus plus 10 points.
Yeah.
It's still worth it.
It's still worth it. Yeah.
It's still an auto include, but
it is an auto include. You're right.
Yeah. Pegasus Knights plus 4 points.
What specials 50%?
Yeah. So but the thing is, across, if you had a Raw Pegasus, 2 units of Pegasus Knights, what are you looking at? 24, 34 points. So it's a magic item squeezed out or something like that. You don't. It might do something.
Yeah,
I think it's probably like a couple less Knights Errant or something. Although people do tend to minimise their core. It might have an impact. It might have an impact. We don't know when it comes to squeezing the most out of your lists. At the real top end, you can't quite fit something in.
At the top end, it could make all the difference. A 12-point increase per unit is massive.
No.
Then what you do, you just like drop the musician or drop the standard bearer or something like that.
Standard bearer is only there to give your opponent points anyway.
Yeah, true.
Hot take. All right, skirmishers. Skirmishers can only charge if over half the unit can draw line of sight to the target.
That, when I think about it, could be quite devastating. The way I use my Pegasus Knights, skirmish formation, you charge in, you make as base contact with as many as you can, and then the rest have to line up behind. I would never really go in to wipe out a unit. I was going in and trying to cause trouble because I could charge them from wherever I wanted. However, this might block my immediate charges to my left and right. So it could be quite big. Models can't see through each other.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't like it. The reason why I don't like it is because I think that if you've got a unit of 3 Pegasus Knights, I know you've given an example just there, but I think it is unlikely that one will obscure the 2 necessarily. But if you've got a unit of, say, Ungor, you've got Ungor Herd, and you've got like 30 Ungor or something, and they're all skirmishing, you need 16 to be able to see before you can charge. And I like the idea of big skirmishing units of infantry. I think they're cool, and I don't think that they are a problem in the game. But I think this makes it difficult to use them effectively because you're going to have to kind of string them out. You can't just clump them together. You're going to have to kind of string them out, and it'll become really complicated to use them. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to bring 30 Ungor. I think that is probably too much. But if you've got 15 or something like that, that's a cool size, isn't it, to take? And now you're going to need 7 to be able to have line of sight, and they're going, who's blocked who? And I can just see it now. I can see the tournament organisers just weeping at like, oh, I think 6 can see. No, I think 7 can see. All right, let's get the TO over and let's talk about it.
I think it has the potential to. It's either going to solve weird situations where skirmishers end up wrapping around and go from being a skirmishing infantry force to a mob of models on the table, and it gets that Age of Sigmar mosh pit going on. Or it's going to exacerbate that because you want to get as many in line of sight to charge. I just can't make my mind up on it.
I think that the 8th edition solution was more elegant, where you would get as many reforms as you like, but where you finished, your frontage was where you looked.
Yeah.
And then you can't charge 360 and all this kind of stuff, and you have to think about positioning of your units a bit more. I think that was a bit more of an elegant solution than count how many can see.
I think this is a result of a wacky set of rules that may have to wait until like a 2nd edition publication to be really resolved at its core.
Well, also maybe it's not true. Maybe this leak is just all false.
Could just all be BS. You know? So
I'm hoping this one's false because I think it's overcomplicated.
If you're listening to this loud, it could all be BS.
Next, God, these are in no particular order, are they? We're jumping around so much with like we're back to spells now.
You're guessing.
So Arcane Urgency is now 1 less to cast at 9+. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
It's in Battle Magic. Battle Magic, I think, is your natural spell law for your level 2 casters. There shouldn't be too much casting on the 10 and things like that. So yeah, I quite like it. Arcane Urgency is a really good spell. I think that might make it a bit cheap, but I do think it's not right to have a spell, if you are going to take level 2 casters, that it's really difficult to cast.
Yeah.
Stupidity. This is a good update because stupidity doesn't make you stupid. It just makes you slow. So now, stupidity prevents casting and shooting. So
Yeah, I'm
if
into it.
there's a way that you can make your opponent stupid, that is pretty good. I always thought it was weird that you just pretty much act as normal when you're stupid.
Yeah. I think, is that not a bit of a nerf to the troll list? Because the troll hag has I'm sure it has a spell that removes their stupid.
Yeah, so trolls are like the obvious one, aren't they, that suffer from stupidity?
Yeah.
And I think you're right that if you've got something that suffers from stupidity, if your army wide suffers from it, then it does make things. It could be a bit of a nerf, but I think the rule was just wrong. I think that stupidity plays like you're just stuck in a bog. It doesn't play like you're stupid. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Next one's a bit of a
Sorry, mate. Carry on.
Next one's a bit of a tidy up. Skin wolf buffs don't affect characters. I think we might see this across the board. So for those of you who don't know, this unit gains X, Y, Z, and then you put a character in the unit, and then the character gains the benefits of the unit, and it's supposed to represent the skin wolves taking on different aspects and getting different benefits to themselves. We talked about this when we talked about Wood Elves, the Wood Elf Arcane Journal and the different combos. There was one there, wasn't there, where it was like run with the pack. So if you've got a pack master and a hound, the unit is movement 9, so it can keep up with the hounds. But then if a character joins that unit, it's a buff to the unit, so the character becomes movement 9 for 30 points. So things like that I would expect to be tidied up, because when they say this unit, they just need to find a different wording, I think. Impact hits. This is a real big one we were talking about before. Impact hits now happen before challenges are declared.
I think it's a good one. Might give you a little bit of firing power if you charge a load of chariots into a single model. You don't just get challenged out and waste all of your impact hits.
Yeah.
Probably a more competitive way to be playing it, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it's right. It's not very immersive, is it? That like 3 chariots charge into a lone character. And he goes, hang on a minute, I'm going to issue a challenge. So they all have to slow down and not do their impact hits. The guy climbs down from his chariot and just walks out. That doesn't make sense, It's not thematic, is it? So, yeah, I fully support and agree with this.
Yeah. It's thematic in Gladiator. Their impact hits didn't do much.
Is that the one where the side wheel cuts that person in half?
Yeah. Yeah. Those impact hits were. To be fair, I take that back. Those impact hits were rocking.
There is that bit though, isn't there, where there's like just a bit of rubble in the way, and then it just like cartwheels, doesn't it?
Just out of nowhere.
Or not cartwheels, or chariot wheels. Anyway, excuse that one. Troll hammer torpedo is now cumbersome and strength 5.
I had no idea they were the hotness at all.
Boo! That's what I've got to say. Its strength 8 is cool. It's something the dwarves have, which is really good. And I think the Arcane Journal did help the dwarves out a lot. And there are definitely more competitive builds. Dario After Dark has been exposing some of that and showing people how to play with them really well and effectively. But they are still by no near a top tier army, and I don't think they need nerfing.
No.
Okay, so a few other ones to rattle through. Trolls get Motley Crew. Fine. Flails get Armor Bane 1 on the charge. Fine.
I like flails.
I think flails. They're really good weapons. Halberds are AP 2 on the charge.
So
Now,
many halberdiers. I've got so many halberdiers going
no,
on now.
it's not. It is not for halberdiers. Surely this has got to be for cavalry. This
Demigriffs.
would be a demigriff knights.
Yeah.
I would be really surprised. I didn't. Well, maybe because they are 81. Maybe they would be, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I would. Yeah, I'd be excited because I've just painted 40 halberdiers.
Yeah.
So,
I've got 9 demigriffs on my painting table to go.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it'd be interesting if you could get. I mean, you're unlikely to get a successful charge against something of 40 halberdiers. Surely they're just there to soak up charges. But we'll see. You know, stranger things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, infantry get +1 combat res if they outnumber their opponent.
That's good. I like that.
So now we've got only get +1 for close order if you
Unit strength 10.
if you unit strength 10, so against like a monster or something, and then you'll outnumber a monster, of course, hopefully.
Yeah.
So then against these matchups, you've got kind of a natural built-in +2 combat res, which does help because I've tried to do the how do you out combat res a monster when you issue a challenge, and you end up I had to get BSB in there and all these different kind of things, and the war banner, get the war banner out, all those kinds of things to try and do it. But now I haven't actually sat down and worked it out yet. But hopefully there are easier ways to naturally do that. If anybody has worked that out, what you need, please put it in the comments because it'd be really useful.
I was just going to throw. I mean, it's wrong to say you're going to play a little bit of DA before playing the game, but does it not almost encourage the rebuilding of the infantry Death Star, where you just pack it full of great characters, leadership buffs, combat resolution buffs? So you're dragging charges in. Fine, you can eat my champion. I'm just going to out combat res you this turn.
Yeah, that's what I was driving at. Is that would it be easier now to do that? Where, for example, it's easier on a normal unit of infantry to do that without having to pack it full of these banners and BSBs.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it's going to encourage the packing of it.
Well, because you'll get even more.
Yeah, more bang for the buck.
Yeah, because if you outnumber your opponent, you can make them flee a lot easier.
Mm.
But you have to outnumber them like
great. Your 500-point dragon ate my 10-point halberdier captain guy, and now he's running away. This is your skeletons all over again. This is your dragons versus the skeletons.
Oh, don't remind me. But not every general is as stupid as I am, and they'll see that big unit and they'll just go, right, my dragon is going to eat everything except for that unit.
Yeah. Oh, great. But I've got this unit costs 3/4 of my army. This is a 1,500-point unit, Dan. You're gonna have to come for it. You're gonna have to come and eat it.
Right, do it. Do it. I want to see it.
Do it.
I want to see Tom's 1-unit army.
Let's go.
I know what you're going to do as well. I just see it now. I can see your Ironbreakers ready.
It's not a bad shout, actually.
Yeah. Okay, and the last leak. Infantry and heavy infantry only. +1 armor in melee if using a hand weapon and shield to a max of 3+.
Yeah, this is another one I had to wrap my head around. You had to explain it. You had to really slowball me on this.
Yeah, so this is the new parry rule, and this has been seen in the Wood Elf Arcane Journal, so I'm convinced this is going to happen because there's a new kind of Eternal Guard that's just come out in Aralost's list, and basically they get parry, so +1 armor if they're using hand weapon and shield, but it also extends to their spears. So what that means is they get light armor 6+, shield 5 up, parry 4 up. But it's only to a maximum of 3+. So we were talking about Ironbreakers just then. If you're an Ironbreaker and you've got full plate armor for a 4 up save, and you've got shield for a 3 up save, and you've got hand weapon you don't benefit from parry because it would take you to a 2-up.
Yeah.
But it would be ridiculous on them anyway, because Grom Rilana is like reroll 1, so you'd have a unit that's 2-up rerolling 1s. This is like one of these
great
massive buffs for everyone with hand weapon, and not you.
Yeah. You're getting a buff. You're getting a buff.
Yeah, but not you.
Not you, dwarf player, again.
Yeah, I don't know what this is. Yeah, this is a bit, isn't it? You know, there's a couple nerfs there specifically for dwarves. Well, not this isn't a nerf, but they're not getting the benefit. But like this. I like this a lot.
I'm trying to wrap my head around. So the second rule rumor is only infantry and cavalry can get a 2+ armor save.
Yeah.
But the bottom one suggests infantry and heavy infantry only can get a 3+ armor save.
No, you can get a 2+ armor save, but not through parry. Just
so
you know, the thing is I like this rule, but I don't know if I like it enough to take infantry with hand weapon and shield when I can take them with spears or halberds.
Yeah. Maybe.
Depends what you want your infantry to do. But I like it, but I don't think I like it enough.
No, but it's always been that for me. It's like, do I take the infantry that defends well or hits like a sledgehammer because they've all got great weapons? And that was one of my quandaries when I played dwarves. It's like warriors. Do I give them the great weapon so they can punch back, or do they stand around hitting you with feather dusters?
But they hold the line really well. But I think Ironbreakers do that role.
Yeah.
But then maybe you wouldn't take your Ironbreakers, and now instead you would take your warriors with a hand weapon and shield and save your points.
Maybe. And that's the great thing about FAQs, any rules changes, in my opinion. They just start making you ask questions again. So if I could just throw out what I'm picking up, what this is putting down, it's making me like rethink how I may want to build a list. Like Bretonian wise, not so much, but anything that was typically an auto include, suddenly I'm thinking about it now. Is there a better way? Is there a more efficient way of building this dragon that I'm going to get more combat out of it, more bang for my buck with that? Infantry looks a bit better, so I might throw some more infantry in. Am I going to start making Death Stars? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking, how do those buffs impact infantry when they fight against a big monster? I'm thinking, how will the poison rules impact the battlefield, and what we'll see more or less of? Those are the first things I'm thinking about. Yeah, but there's definitely food for thought there, and I think it definitely will change the landscape of the battlefield, and anything that promotes a game that looks like rank and file Warhammer is for the best. Yeah, exactly that.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see it with the competitive rule set come out.
Yeah,
those two
how to marry up
will be
that would be really interesting. Well, because I think they're designing them to go hand in hand, because when you've got a tournament, you're going to want, not only you're going to want this FAQ, but you're going to want to try and balance it out with how people structure their armies. But more will be revealed in time. We're not actually that far away from it being released. Rumors are that it's going to be a month and a half most. So yeah, we should see more as it comes along. But thank you very much for watching. We will be back next Wednesday. We will be here each and every Wednesday, chatting nonsense about the old world. So catch you next time.